Hello, good evening, everybody. My name is Dr. Chanel James, and I'm the owner of LimbsNThings Mobile and Telehealth Physical Therapy Practice. And tonight we're talking to Florence Macauley, and she is the owner and CEO of Agewise Home. And we are both located in DC. We both serve Maryland and Virginia as well. And so tonight we're talking about structural and non-structural things that you can do to remain independent in your home. And this is more of an everybody live, not just for aging adults, but for anyone who's even purchasing a home and you have your current functional status where you're able to do different things. But as you age, you want to think about if something happens to you, say you're unable to go upstairs or you're unable to get in and out of a tub where you have to lift your leg over a tub, all those things you want to consider as you're getting a place. And even if you're in a home already and something happens to you where you need to make home modifications, this live is for you too. So tonight we want to give you an opportunity to ask questions as well as to input your own comments as we discuss. So right now I'm going to yield the floor to Miss Florence, and she's going to tell you a little bit about her business.
Hello, everyone. Yes, like Dr. James said, I'm the owner of Agewise Home, and as a certified agent in place specialist, my job is to use Agewise Home. It's to consult with families and to help seniors, people with disabilities, and veterans to age in place. We offer a consultation of aging in place, dementia consultation, home modifications, concierge services, to really give you a holistic approach to help people with disabilities, see anyone who needs the help to age in place for the services that you need. We have several thought partners that really help, that we lean on to get the best information for all of our clients.
That's great. Okay, so tell us what you mean about concierge services.
So one of the things, as Dr. James and I were talking about earlier, we actually go into people's homes. We can, as soon as we go through the door, we can notify and observe 5 things that they might need at that exact moment, even before there's anything else done. And so the concierge services that we offer are transportation to and from doctor's appointments, a wellness check, and our wellness checks are just observation for safety and cleanliness. Because when I go and see a client, I use my eyes, my nose, and my mouth to really observe the understanding of what's going on in the home. If, they're not clean, if the house smells like gas or trash, if there's some lights that are not working, these are all things that can cause a safety issue. So with our wellness checks, we also just make sure that their well-being is intact. And if there's any concerns, we automatically notify their emergency contact and say, these are the observations that we made. We also medication reminders. I used to work at Howard University Hospital. I cannot tell you how many people came to the hospital just because they stopped taking their medication. And sometimes people just need a reminder. We offered via text message, email, or phone call, or during our wellness checks in person to make sure that what is needed is consistently being taken as prescribed by the physician. And then as well as handyman services and smart support. I think right now everything is being pushed towards technology. You have smart homes that are helpful. I think one of a really great benefit is those remote locks, because I have a lot of clients who cannot physically get to the door and they'll just leave their door open, and that's not safe. And so one of the things that I love is having an option for smart home. So we help with that. I have a great person who helps with that, because you do not want me to set up your technology personally. But we have to make sure that we're not leaving a certain population of people behind because they're not as computer savvy, when there are really great benefits that you can have with technology.
Right. And not only the benefit of being safe that way, but if they are living alone, then that makes them extra safe.
Exactly.
So what does Agewise do that is similar to home? Or can you tell us the difference between the two?
Of course. Safe at Home is a great program that's offered based on income. And what they focus on are doing what we consider minor modifications. They'll install a ramp, they might do a tub cutout, they'll install a chairlift. And the difference with us is we change the footprint of the home if it's needed. If you need to have a bathroom modification based on a specific need that you have currently and 10 years from now, we will change the structure of the home to need going until you don't need it anymore. Safe at Home is limited in what they can do because they have a threshold of $10,000, and because it's based on income, there's but so much they can do for that amount of money. And so we offer home modifications which overlap with Safe at Home, but we also do the consulting. Aging at Home, Aging in Place is not just home modifications. It's really about making sure the person is mentally, emotionally, and physically able to age in place. And so we have a lot of thought partners that like we have an insurance specialist, we have a financial advisor, an estate attorney. We have a construction company that we work with. And so when you have a holistic approach, you're not just doing 10% home modification, you're really trying to dive into what is actually needed for this person to age in place. You'd be surprised how many times people actually don't have their advance directives in place, they don't have a living will, they don't have any instruction of when I'm not able to speak for myself, what does that look like? And so I think it's very important to have those things in place and to also have an emergency plan, because falls happen in the home and we know it. Emergency plan. If you're two seniors living in the home and one of them falls, is that other senior spouse able to say, okay, it's an emergency, I can call 911, I can put what's in place and do it? Or is this person compromised as well, cognitively or functionally, where it would cause a concern? So we look at all of those things and make sure you have a great network of support to make sure that you're safe.
Right. Now, one thing you didn't mention is your background.
Mm-hmm.
So you're a physical therapist assistant. And so whenever you are looking at someone, you're looking at them from the lens of functionality, but also with being able to be as independent as possible in their home, right?
Correct. And I'm also, and I think I appreciate you bring that up, I'm also a certified dementia practitioner as well as a certified aging in place specialist. And I have a certification from USC with executive home modifications. So it's all about looking at the person functionally, cognitively, emotionally, and mentally. I mean, and those are all very different things. And once you look at a person holistically, you have a better understanding of how to help them now into the future. I have a client now that I'm working with dementia, and it's like, we know it's a progressive disease, but what stage are they now? What strategies can we help the caregivers to make sure with any frustrations that they might have, any strategies that they might need to have the best quality of life as long as they're here?
Right. That's great. You have a question over here. It says, can any type of insurance work with Agewise?
So unfortunately, insurance is very limited. So this is a self-pay company. We do work around the needs and the income that every person has, because the need that you have should never be based on income. So we really look to see what we can do within your budget. And as Dr. James knows, as a therapist, you just have to be creative. So there's a lot of creative ways of making sure you have what you need. But unfortunately, insurance is not something that will pay for our services. Hopefully it will change. But at this point, no. But one thing about insurance I definitely want to is long-term care insurance. I think long-term care insurance is a type of insurance that is so important as we age, because Medicare does not pay for in-home assistance. Medicare will pay when it's attached to home health services. So it's very important that if you need assistance outside of a loved one being an unpaid caregiver, that you have long-term care insurance to offset those expenses, because it does not matter how much money you make, that money will be depleted very quickly if you need a certain amount of hours in order to safely be at home.
Right. So another question. Can you explain how the automatic locks work, the cost and the benefits?
So they're all different, and it really depends on style. It also depends on if this is something that you want to work through your phone. And the benefits that I love about it, because I actually have one for myself, because I had surgery a couple years ago and I could not physically walk to the door every time someone came in, but I was able to program a code for certain people at certain times. Or like my sister came to visit from Texas to help me. So she just had a code they just put in and come in as she pleased. So the benefits of that is having the security, having people come in as they need. And if someone's not physically able to open the door, you have security knowing that the door will be open for certain people and it will be locked once that person has gone. So I'm a very big fan of those, but it also can be controlled remotely, because if it is hooked up to a family member's phone, I would be able to open the door for someone coming to visit my mother for a home health visit with her not worrying. Of course, I tell her someone's coming, but that also gives you more control. And then you also have those ring options where you can actually store, which is also an added level of security.
True. Very true. Hello.
Hi.
So other than what you just described, can you give us like an example of a assessment that you would do if you come in someone's home and you're looking around? What things should we look for, say in the kitchen, in a bathroom, those areas of your home?
Okay. So one of the things I always do is just think about, how would this person enter the home? Because sometimes not everyone enters the home through the front door. And so whatever the entrance is that the person will use is how I'd like to enter the home. And then from there, what I do is look at if there's any barriers to their accessibility. And so once I look through the home, I just kind of go through the path of the rooms that they use. So if there is a bedroom at a certain level, I want to make sure I go to that bedroom and see if there's any barriers to getting in the room, to the bed, to getting to the closet, or any dressers that might have. In the bathroom especially, I look at if there's any barriers to the door. Widening doorways is something that we do often. And so the question is, are there going to be any barriers to enter the bathroom? If there's a chair or
looks like we lost her. So if I'll continue what she was saying, so you definitely want to look at, we look at the floors, we look at, based on your assistive device, if you're using a walker or a cane, even a wheelchair, just making sure that you can get into that doorway. We definitely want to make sure that there are grab bars if you need to hold on to something to move around, especially in the bathroom. And then I think I see her coming back so she can finish.
Yes, I apologize.
No problem.
So from the bathroom, it's all about the entrance to the door. Not all homes are created equal. Older homes had more narrow doorways. So the first thing is, how wide is this doorway? If someone's in a walker or wheelchair, would they be able to access the bathroom? How are they able to turn in it, access the toilet and the shower? I think one of the trends with just remodeling in general is more of a walk-in shower. And a walk-in shower, it looks beautiful, but it also increases the accessibility that is needed. So I always want to try to look at, if I was someone who could not lift my leg over the lip of the tub, or if there was any pain with mobility, what barriers that I would have there. In the kitchen, it's similar to the same thing, depending on if this person is sitting in a wheelchair or if they're standing with a walker. Are they able to access all of the parts of their home? A lot of times I always recommend that the things that you use the most, they should not be up high. You should put them on the level where you don't have to reach or struggle to get them. If it's knives, forks, cups, or pots, anything that you use on a daily basis, you want to have them readily available at chest level, at waist level, if possible. And then if there's any cognitive issues, I think about like the color of the floor to the countertops and the contrast there. If there's any knob safety needed to make sure that the person who is has any level of decreased cognition, if there's any chance that they can leave the stove on or anything like that. So it's really just trying to go in and see, are there any barriers in any room that I am assessing? And if there are, how can we change them?
Very good. Very good. All right, so we have a question over here. How can you contact your agency or Agewise to set up an appointment to have your home analyzed?
Oh, very easy. So you can visit our website at agewisehome.com. We have a contact us page. That is something that is easily available. It comes to me directly. You can call us at 202-573-7340. Or you can email me directly at florence@agewisehome.com.
And we'll make sure we put that in the comments too.
Thank you.
All right. What's the age group to qualify?
For us, it really is no age group, because a person with disability, unfortunately, that happens at any age. We just typically do not work with the pediatric population. So if I had to give a specific age group, I would just say 40 and up. And I at the end, because my granddad's at 100. So, whatever age you're at, whatever you need, awesome. We will make sure we take care of you. But it's also, and I also want to stress, we have our clients, but we also have the caregivers of our clients who are also just as important. So we have to make sure that if you are helping this person bathe in a bed, we have to make sure the bed is appropriate for not just your loved one to sleep in it, but also it's functional for you to be able to provide the care that's needed. So it's a joint effort for everyone who's involved.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because caregivers oftentimes get left out, and there are so many things that can make their lives easier with home modifications.
100%, 100. And just rearranging the furniture. Rearranging furniture is, I think, one of the easiest things to do, and the freest thing that you can do to really increase the accessibility in your home. So always and I know I go in homes, I'm told don't touch it, don't move it, that's fine. And then you have to start having the conversation. Is it fine, or is it just what you're used to? So it takes a little bit of time and a conversation to sell the benefits of rearranging some things.
That's true. So here's a question. It says, what do you find that is easier, stand-in showers with seats or walk-in bathtubs?
For several reasons, the stand-in showers with seats. There's such a market now for shower seats, and they're absolutely gorgeous. They go from ones that are teak, they have ones that are padded seats that can flip up, that have adjustable legs. So it's a lot better because it creates flexibility, especially if you're not the only one who needs to be in the shower, but it also looks better for resale value. Walk-in tubs, unfortunately, they have some drawbacks in terms of resale value and leakages around the actual installation. And so I would never recommend a walk-in tub, but some people do love the tub. They love being submerged. And I never want to take that from someone. If that increases their quality, by all means, get your walk-in tub. But when you think about a walk-in tub, you have to close it and you have to sit there while the water is filling up. So anyone who takes a bath or a shower, you have to feel that water temperature, make sure it's good before you actually step in. But when you're in a walk-in tub, you actually have to just sit in the water and let it fill up. Take a little while it fills up. And then when you're ready to get out of the shower, you have to wait for that water to completely leave the tub as well, because you can't just open it up. So I feel like there's a little bit more drawbacks for the walk-in tub. They just started adding a grab, but the grab bar is not specific to your need. It's just specific to where they want to place it. So I think there's drawbacks in it, and they're expensive too.
Really I'm glad you mentioned that. I think a lot of times we think of the walk-in tubs because they're advertised so often on TV as being a viable option. But the facts that you just mentioned make it even clearer why the stand-in with the shower seats are better. Now,
Oh, yeah.
I want to ask you, you know, a lot of times with people leaving skilled nursing facilities or hospitals, OTs mainly are the ones that provide these things, which is um, the tub shower benches. Would that be better, or having the shower seat that folds down and up?
It really just depends on the setup that you have. Because I think one thing that we have to do is be flexible, because we have to think about the cost, the immediate need, and the structure of the bathroom. Because there's so many different types. We have a tub transfer bench, and then you have a shower chair. So depending on the person's need, their current level of function, one might be better than the other based on that, or just the structure of the home and that actual bathroom. But if you were going to do a bathroom modification, I would definitely recommend a shower seat that can, because it doesn't take up all of the real estate in the bathroom, in the shower. Because sometimes those built-in shower seats, they take up so much space that it limits the mobility that you and a caregiver can have.
True. Okay. Are there any hints or helpful resources for making a house wheelchair accessible?
I think the biggest thing is rearranging the furniture. Think about the most used paths for the person who is in the wheelchair, so that they are not having to, how should I say it, risk of a fall to get from one point of the home for the next. So I think one of the best and easiest things to do first is just rearrange the furniture in the home and clear any barriers in the path of the person who's in the wheelchair. The second thing that I would make sure that you do, now if we think about another cost, is widening any doorways that are needed. Widening the doorways to the bathroom is definitely something that I would want to make sure that you think about. It's an expense, but it's one of those things that doesn't change the resale value of your home, doesn't change the value of the home, and it just increases the accessibility to the home. And overall, there are a lot of, depending on where you live, there are a lot of community services that are available. The Department of Aging in every city has a lot of helpful resources for your community. One thing that I have found some difficulty with is finding wheelchair maintenance. And that's something that I think is so important, because there's people who are dependent on their wheelchairs, and their wheelchairs are just not safe. The brakes are not working the way that they need to. There might be rips in the seat. But if something that you use is not working as intended, it's a safety concern. So one of the things that I always recommend is just looking at the equipment that you have and just doing an assessment. Is this working the way it's intended? Is it safe for me to consistently use?
Good advice. Next one, have you seen any grants for home modifications?
There are grants for home modifications. A lot of them are income-based. But in DC, they have a lot of great programs. Safe at Home is one. But I believe for Safe at Home, a single person, I think your income threshold would be about $65,000, and that'll go up to $10,000. And then they have another program where they $75,000, but again, it's based on your income, where they will allow you to get a roof done, allow you to work on some barriers. They're not very specific on the barriers that they'll help remove, but they say they will remove environmental barriers. So there are a lot of grants, and then they also have block grants through HUD that allows you, again, to apply for these grants, but a lot of them are income-based. And so you have people who are right in that middle, like they make too much money but not enough, where sometimes they'll be a little bit more flexible with their but I always recommend that if you want to go through a grant, you apply for several, because if you are rejected from one, the possibility maybe you'll be able to have the grant for another one.
For sure. Okay. Are there any final thoughts that you want to give based on what you do, based on what you've seen, and what you've heard tonight?
Great questions. Thank you, everyone, for all the questions that you had. I think my final thought would be aging in place starts at birth. We work really hard to make sure that we have the accessibility, the safety we need for someone who was just born. And it's that you need for someone who are in their final decades or in their final years of life. We want to make sure that you're safe, your home is accessible, as well as your community, but that your quality life is also very important. So I always want to stress we want to take care of our loved ones, but we also want to take care of the loved ones who are taking care of us, and make sure that you reach out for assistance at any time. You can call Agewise Home. We are here to counsel you in any way, because at the point that we are now, we're going to have 98 million people over the age of 65 in 2060. And so we need to start making efforts to consider what we need now at our younger ages so that we have what we need later on in life.
You know, I just thought of something else.
Okay.
I wanted to find out, you know, there are a lot of times where people are trying to figure out, should I stay in my house or should I go to an assisted living or a different place that can provide a higher level of care? What are some things that you should consider when you're making that determination?
I think that's a great question. Cost,
For sure.
Location, specific needs, and we have our 8-point criteria that we look at. Ratio from patient to staff, also the level of training for the staff, and how good is the food? Because there's a lot of people that they, you know, I've worked in several of them. They're like, oh, this client is losing weight. We don't know what to do. They don't like your food. And so when you think about that, because my family's from West Africa, if my parents ever had to go to, which they wouldn't, because that's just something that's not an option. But if I think about it, if they had to go somewhere for a long period of time, they would not be happy because this is not the food that they normally eat. So you want to make sure that if this is something that is needed, smell the place, talk to other residents, try the food. What are the activities that they have? If your loved one has any cognitive issues, what kind of programs do they have in their memory care? And how patient and how cohesive is the program at these places?
Very good advice. And a lot of times we do see people with weight loss and no one really considers the background of why someone is not eating. You know, so that's a great point you brought up. I thank you so much for joining us tonight. We'll pull up with Limbs and Things. Every time we have you guys join, it's just a matter of sharing information, probably confirming something you already know, giving you a little bit of insight on something you don't know, and giving you an opportunity to share that information with someone else. And so I thank you so much for joining us. I hope you guys have a great evening. Take care.